Saturday, October 21st will be the date of the third annual Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame banquet at the Quality Inn Ballroom in Marietta, and the long-awaited induction of former Tiger great Frank Sutton. This is Chris Wharff, and I'm honored to be joined by Coach Frank Sutton's grandson, Greg. And Greg, appreciate you taking the time and being able to talk to us about your grandfather.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Most people aware that the Tigers play basketball at Sutton Gymnasium, but aren't really knowledgeable of the accomplishments of your grandfather.
Yeah, and this is the fourth awards banquet that I've been to. I even back when I was a teenager, I got to go to the banquet in Columbus, Ohio, the Ohio Sports Banquet, where he received the Bricks for Champion award. And the only two people that got awards that night were Bob Hope and my grandfather. You know, that was really something for me. And actually, his players paid $100 a plate for my family to be there. So I know he had players that really respected him, and I was really thankful that they did that so I could be there.
You look back, and what I was just curious. I know that he graduated from Marietta in 1911, but were there any stories of his athletic accomplishments? Because I know that on his plaque at the Marietta College Hall of Fame, former coach Don Drum called him one of the greatest football players he'd ever coached.
Yeah, he and of course when I was a kid growing up, I used to hear all the stories, and he was a redhead, so I don't know I don't know if that has anything to do with why he was so tough and why he was such a good football player, but he wasn't that big. And the one story that I used to hear, Marietta College actually played Michigan, and my grandfather was the left end, and they tried to run his direction, and he disrupted their running game so bad that they quit running that direction. And after the game, the Michigan coach offered him a scholarship to come up to Michigan. Of course, he turned it down and stayed at Marietta. But and actually, baseball was probably one of his best sports, and you don't hear too much about that. But he actually played semi-pro ball for a little bit after college. He coaching at Marietta High School, his baseball teams had unbelievable hitting percentage. My wife and I looked up some of the newspaper clippings that my grandmother put together over the years, and his baseball teams had like an 800 hitting batting average, which is incredible. That's hard to believe. But as far as his sports days at Marietta College, he was captain of the baseball, basketball, and the football team. His nickname was Squat, and it's funny because several years ago I was bow hunting across the river in West Virginia, and we talked to Mr. Buckley. You know the island right there above the interstate bridge. That was Buckley's Island, and I knocked at the door. And this old man came to the door, and he was in his early 90s, and he asked me what my name was. And I said, well, it's Greg Sutton. And he says, Squat Sutton? And I had to laugh because I don't know if he thought I was still Frank Sutton or what the story was, but his name, the name Squat Sutton just kind of permeated Marietta for years and years when he was playing. But he was a really good athlete himself, and then of course his coaching speaks for itself.
That is a great story. Chris Wharff, right here, along with Greg Sutton, the grandson of Coach Frank Sutton. And as we continue on, and you're talking about all these different honors that you've been able to go and attend to and stuff, the thing that really sticks out to a lot of people was his coaching ability and what he accomplished, his records and everything. I know to date he is still the all-time winningest basketball and football coach at Marietta High School. And did he have any secret sauce or anything?
Well, most people that remember Coach John Wooden and the UCLA, his coaching style on the bench in basketball was, my grandfather was kind of like him. John Wooden never complain to the officials about calls, and he was very calm on the bench. And when I was 8, 9 years old and he was still coaching, I got to sit on the end of the bench. And even the away football games, I got to ride on the bus with him. Yeah, the one thing I noticed about him, he never got excited much about anything, and he didn't cuss. He never yelled at the players. He was just calm all the time, and it just kind of reminded me of John Wooden.
When you look at that, did you get to go to any practices? Because usually those guys, that's where they get rid of all that's in practice. They don't have to do it at the game.
Yeah, and I did get to go to some practices, but the thing about, if they ran plays and they didn't get it right, they'd do it over, and they'd do it over, and he didn't yell. I don't think he ever did yell, and he just did the plays over and over and over until they got it right. And that was the thing about him in football. The one story that my dad used to tell me was, and my dad played for my grandfather too, but when they ran laps at the end of the practice, and he had a paddle, and it was all in fun, but he would run around, and if he caught somebody, he'd kind of just tap him on the butt, and then he'd continue on. And he had told my grandmother that when the day came that he couldn't outrun all the players, he was going to retire. I think he made it to the mid 50s, as I remember, coaching before he became the athletic director.
Well, it's certainly going to be a phenomenal weekend, and excited because you guys are going to have almost a family reunion type thing. I know that you're going to have a very nice contingent in attendance.
Yeah, and I have to thank Mr. Duckworth, because he's taken so many calls from my family about tickets and all that. He's kept up with everything. So, thanks go out to him and the people that are putting this all together.
Well, I appreciate your time. Look forward to talking to you a little bit more as this approaches October 21st. I'll see you at the football game on October 20th, maybe even get you on the air with me as we broadcast the Tigers. It'd be a good thing, and I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
All right. This is Greg Sutton, the grandson of Frank Sutton, who will be inducted into the Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame on October 21st. Now let's take it back to the studio.